So welcome back to the next video. What are we doing? You've probably guessed, and by the title, suspension. So from our last video, the coilovers. Now, coilovers are good, but unless you're paying close to £1,000 for a decent set of coilovers, they're probably not going to be the best ride. Me personally, I always like coilovers because they handle good and they can adjust them so the car could be nice and level. Now, I'm 35 now, 36, something like that. My first GTI I had when I was 17. So I've changed suspension quite a few times on Mark IIs over the years. So what we're going to do is put some new suspension on the car, shocks and springs in this box, an absolute bargain. Now this kit should have been 480 quid. I paid 150 quid to the door. That was an absolute steal, an offer I couldn't turn up. So this is going to go back to shocks and springs, still lowered, 40mm lowering springs. Now the other options I could have gone shocks and springs, 25 or 30mm. Now 40 is probably about where you want to, a bit higher than what it was before with the coilovers on. So this is what we're going to put on it. Now I'll whiz through it quite a bit, do more of a test drive after, but I'll show you, like I said, I've done suspension this quite a few times. If you can see here, there's a hint to how easily it can be done. If you're on the floor, you haven't got air tools, and a few hints and tips. So before I keep jabbing on, let's have a look at what's in this box. So this is it, VW Heritage OEM Plus, made by KW, suspension kit 40/40. So loads of front 40 and the back 40. So let's open it up and see what it looks like. Check that out. Made by KW. Looks good quality, decent quality lock nut. You can tell good quality by just looking at simple things like machining on the thread and how the welds are. Proper decent welds, you know, no Mickey Mouse stuff. Lovely. So that's one. We'll leave it out of the bag. One. Then we have two. Ooh. Beautiful. Rear shocks. Now you might look a bit weird, it's because they haven't got the seat on there at the moment. Obviously the seats are in here. Another one, take that bag. Is it paperwork? So this is like your declaration of conformity. My day job is safety inspections, Lola, Pure, that kind of life. So this is a declaration of conformity, which just shows that they are built to a certain standard. Lovely jubbly. And we've got front spring. Again, these are 40mm lowering springs. Beautiful. And again, rear ones. Beautiful. 4 springs. Beautiful. That's all we need. So who's KW? I'm not affiliated in any way, but this is KW Suspensions. They've been around, yep, late 90s. Fantastic suspension. Probably one of the best ones out there if you're getting coilovers, but they do so many different things, and they also own a couple of companies. So you might see other branded names which are actually made by KW, but there you go, that is KW. Have a nose if you want to.
See where this is going, I really need to know, babe. Can we just open up, cause I got to know if you feel the things I do. I might need some help if you let me go, cause I'm flying through the sky and I'm
so we have a side-by-side. This is your coilover and this is your normal strut type, original type. Now you can see the difference. This is fully adjustable. These are Pro Sport coilovers, pretty good budget ones. They've done the job well. Like I said, I put these on the car to get it rolling. I did have the idea of upgrading later in life. It's now turned out to be now with this opportunity. So good thing you can do, always try and replace these These are your collar lock nuts, which attach your top mounts to the top of there. Now, if you've got the car on the floor, one thing you can do is take your plastic cover off. You'll have that lock nut in there. With the weight of the car, what you can do, get your socket and ratchet on there, and if you're lucky enough, you give it a good graunch on there and it will crack that off. Undo that nut off, cap off, you'll be left with the top mount sitting there with those nuts. Now these nuts, you need a special tool. Cheers. There. This one. That's a special tool that fits inside those collars. So you got your nut cap off, undo your collar. Now what this will do is mean the spring there is not connected to your top mount. So your top mount sits one of the ways like that. Could be the wrong way, but anyway. So that connects like that. So that's now not attached. So what you can then do is jack the car up off the floor. And what that'll then do is the wheel will take long to come off, but you jack the car up and you've released all the tension off that spring. So you just undo 2 bolts and you can lift it all out nicely. Obviously stick an axe stand under the car. Don't ever get in a car with an axe stand because it will drop on you and hurt. So all the weight's off the spring. Now you can take the shock off and then put all your new stuff back on. I'll show you later on. And attach it back on and lower it down the same way. So instead of using a spring compressor you can buy and compressor springs, which are very dangerous. Yes, they do work, but they're also inherently dangerous. You can use the weight of the car. All the shock and the spring is fully seated in its manufactured position. It's all kept in there. It can't ping off anywhere. It's on there. Lower it all down. Put your nuts back on. Put your new nuts on there. Put your top cap back on. Oh, where are they gone? Put all your nuts back on. Then that is all bolted on. You can then lift it up and just tweak those main 19mm nuts and bolts again. So that's the fronts. We'll get on the new stuff on the fronts because we're in the garage. We haven't got massive amounts of space to do it all. So we'll get the fronts on, bolt them back on, and then we'll jump into the back end and I'll do you another how-to of quick, easy tips on the back end. So we've got our strutting. Now this is a part where we use the car as a press. So we've got the bolts in here. So what you can do is put your top mount and the spring cap, you can't really see, but it's up there. Put them up there first, whilst having the spring and the shock sort of down that area. Fiddle them up so the shock and the spring is in the top mount. Then what you want to do, obviously you've got no force on this. If you've got upgraded anti-roll bars, you might struggle a bit, but you shouldn't do. You can push this down, push that hub down quite a lot. Push that down until you can get the bolts in. Now once the bolts are in there, you're all sat there. All you've then got to do is jack it up, making sure the shock is aligned through the cap into the top mount. And there you go, it's all jacked up. You can then put your nuts on, put your metal cap back on, tighten it all up with the Allen key, and then there you go, you don't need any spring compressors. So here we go, that's our cap nut in there. This is our special tool. This isn't mine, this is a friend called Mr. Clark. Probably watched this video, and if he ever needs it, he knows where it is. Again, they're not expensive. That sits in there, and you do that up tight. That fits through the top mount and secures the shock absorber to the sort of spring cap mount. So let's get that nice and tightened up. There we go, that is the front end done on the floor, and you can see that's now the arch gap. I'll do a side by side, but we are sitting at 58 inches, that's massive. 58, sorry, it's a long day. 58 centimetres from floor to arch as before. Before it was 55.5, can't remember. 2.5 centimetres higher, which is fine. I mean, that arch gap, nothing wrong with that. It's all brand new stuff, so it'll probably settle a bit. But yeah, I mean, I can get the trolley jack under there without having to force it. So yeah, much happier with that. What I've got to do, camber wise, I mean, how I've done this when I built it, I just said it I was, and it's been fine, never pulled, etc. That side's fine. That side I need to camber out at the top a touch, but I'll do that once it's outside, because as you can see, I didn't film much on the other side as it's quite tight. Obviously mid DIY house stuff, and that's where the car was. So more fun with the back, but at least I can open the back doors and do the back of it, which is what I'll do next.
You let me go, 'cause I'm